we move on to react to this week's Champions League fixtures. Obviously, we talked about a little bit of this week's game so far in this show. We talked about Korea's late winner as as Atletico Madrid stunned PSG. We discussed about Real Madrid losing at the Bernabeu to AC Milan. We talked about Arsenal's loss to Inter Milan. But obviously, there was a lot more games in this week's Champions League fixtures. And there was a lot of interesting games. There was a lot of high drama. Barcelona, they're continuing to prove they are a top team. Barcelona, how many games so far this season have they had 5 goals, 7 goals, 4 goals? It's just been the amount of goals that they've scored this season has been ridiculous. They already have 40 goals in La Liga through 12 games. Let me repeat that. 40 goals in La Liga through 12 games. And in the Champions League, they've scored 15 in 4 games. It's been ridiculous. It has been absolutely ridiculous. The goal scoring ability of this Barcelona team, the way that they create a lot of opportunities with their high flying sort of ways. And now they put 5 past Grevnes Vista at the Red Star Stadium. By the way, Grevnes Vista is also referred as Red Star Belgrade. But yeah, what they did against Red Star Belgrade, it's sensational, and Robert Lewandowski, he's continuing his great start to the season. Rafinha gets on the score sheet again. I've said this a lot of times now. If the season ended today, he would be the Ballon d'Or with the way that he's been playing. He's been absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, Barcelona as a whole, this team is ridiculous. Going away to Serbia, dominating the game, 70% possession, 21 shots, 9 shots on target. For Barcelona, you should be very, very excited about how this team looks, and should be very, very excited going forward thinking about this team because I lost my train of thought. But because you've had a lot of injuries this season, and there's still some clear holes that you need to address in the team, especially when you look at that holding midfielder role. The fact that you're still sitting as high as you are in La Liga and Champions League, and you're having these performances, you can't be nothing other than excited about this team going forward. But yeah, great win if you're a Barcelona fan. Club Brugge got a 1-0 win over Aston Villa. Bizarre game. Now Aston Villa, they've had a perfect start to the Champions League, 3 wins from 3. But they've been struggling. They entering this game on a 2-game skid, 2 losses that they suffered. They suffered the EFL Cup loss to Crystal Palace, and then that bad loss that they suffered to Villa. They also dropped points as well to Bournemouth on the Saturday before that loss that they suffered midweek to Crystal Palace. So last 3 games, form has been a little low, and they came into this one in that form and really struggled to create that many good opportunities. And then the goal came in the 52nd minute. The handball, which it's a handball, Tyron makes, just brain fart, horrible mistake, and it just leaves too much of a gray area if the referee decides to have sympathy in that moment, because obviously Tyron Winks didn't willingly handle the ball. He didn't realize the ball was in place, trying to readjust it, and yeah, it's at the end of the day, you have to be more aware, and it's a blunder. Unai Emery said it's the biggest mistake. I believe he said something like that. or he said it's a really, really big mistake. But or it's the biggest mistake I witnessed. But yeah, it happens. It's overall, disappointing loss. But if you're Aston Villa, you should be able to recover from this. Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1 win over Young Boys. Georgi Sudakov had a really, really good game for Shakhtar, I have to say. Brest 2-1 win over Sparta Praha. Their really good start to this Champions League has continued. They're fourth place right now with 10 points from their first 4 games, which has actually put them tied for second with Sporting Monaco. Inter with that 10 points. They've been really, really good. And I've been pretty impressed with them. This is their debut Champions League campaign, and to be as consistent as they have been so far through these first 4 games, taking advantage of the teams that they should take advantage of, I've been more than beyond impressed with Brest. Bayern, they get the 1-0 win over Benfica. It was Jamal Musiala who scored a header. Not necessarily what you think of when you think of Musiala. Out of all the things that he does, heading the ball has not happened to be his top ability. But his header is able to get that breakthrough needed for Bayern Munich. I thought Benfica defended really, really well through the first 65 minutes or so. Playing away at the Allianz Arena, you understood that they were going to be tight, and they made it difficult. But Bayern were able to get the breakthrough. And other than that, didn't really seem like Benfica was able to create that clear cutout opportunity that they needed to equalize. They only had one, they only had 26% possession. They only had one shot the entire game, not a single one on target. And yeah, it's just the quality of the two teams really showed in this one. Salzburg 3-1 win over Feyenoord. Karim Konate getting the player of the match for Salzburg as they win in this one. Atalanta 2-0 win over Stuttgart. Lukman and Zaniolo were able to get on the score sheets as Atalanta now sit with 8 points from their first 4 games, which is also a pretty good start for them. So far, good win for them. Going to Tuesday's game, PSV got a 4-0 win over Girona. Dynamo got a 4-1 win over Slovan Bratislava. Monaco 1-0 win over Bologna. Speaking of Brest, really good start. Monaco has had an equal start to them. If you look at it in terms of points, they're sitting on 10 points from the first 4 Champions League games. They've looked pretty good as well. It was Thilo Kehrer, the former PSG player, that got that late goal in the 86th minute to get the victory for Bologna. It was a massive, not Bologna, for Monaco. It was a massive result for them going against Bologna. Bologna, haven't had a really good start to their season, but can still be difficult to play against, especially playing away from Monaco. And to get that result, great result from them. Dortmund were able to bounce back that dumping that they had against Real Madrid, specifically in that second half, to get that 1-0 win going up against Sturm Graz. Daniel Malin's late goal was able to get that tight victory for Dortmund. Celtic were able to see off Leipzig in this one, 3-1 win. And it was actually their former Leipzig youth player, Nicholas Kuhn, was able to get on the score sheet twice for Celtics as they earned their second win so far of this Champions League campaign. Celtic, they find themselves right now in 15th place with 7 points through their first 4 games, which is pretty good start from them. Um, Now, if you're Leipzig, man, that's just the nail in the coffin for the season. They came into the season as a pot one team in the Champions League from 4 defeats from four. It's gonna take a Himalayan effort for them to get out of this Champions League group stages. Which they still have Inter Milan to play. They still have to play Aston Villa. Um, Still a Sporting Lisbon that have looked really, really good as well to play. You know, it's it's almost over for RB Leipzig. It's gonna take something remarkable for them to keep out of this. To keep themselves in the Champions League. Lille 1-1 draw with Juventus. They both move on to 7 points. Lille and Juventus after they shared points. And this one, Jonathan David, he's been amazing in the Champions League. Gets on the score sheet yet again. For them. Dusan Vlahovic gets the equalizer for Juventus. 1-1 draw there. Bayern or Liverpool 4-0 win over Bayern Leverkusen. Liverpool are, what a performance from them. That second half, they were absolutely breathtaking. You know, Probably their most complete game so far this season. Definitely their most complete half. That second half was getting that 4-0 win over Bayern Leverkusen. Great results for Liverpool. And then the other game, Sporting Lisbon, managed by Ruben Amorim, who's set to become a United manager in the next few weeks or so after the November international break. 4-1 win over Manchester City. Victor Gyökeres hat-trick helped Sporting get this victory. It was a great victory for Sporting Lisbon playing at home, who have actually had a really, really good start to their Champions League campaign as well. So,